Hello, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Banter, the podcast aimed at bringing you your dose of murder relaxation. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. How you doing over there?
Good.
Yeah?
Living my life.
Welcome, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the True Crime Banter podcast. And, you don't really have much of a voice.
I'm a little under the weather.
That's
Yeah.
what they say, isn't
Not,
it?
not feeling the best, but here I am.
But you're a trooper, and you're powering through
and
this
you're,
episode.
you're the talker this time around, which
I am.
landed perfectly.
Yes. Just perfectly.
Just perfect.
And you know what? Even if it didn't land perfectly, I still would have been the talker anyway.
I know, you're amazing.
Yes, you are. Hello, everyone, and welcome. If you guys are watching on YouTube, welcome to our dining room once again.
Yeah. I feel like we're probably going to be doing like little updates,
Yeah,
like last time it didn't look like this. Next time it'll probably be better too.
Yeah, we'll keep changing things around,
Whatever.
having fun, just enjoying ourselves, I suppose.
Yeah.
Today you are taking care of the bit of banter.
Yeah,
correct?
it's nothing crazy, but I kind of wanted, I know we try to stay on brand with the whole like murder thing, but I was like, what if we did like some good news?
Well, the bit of banter doesn't always have to be murder. It
No,
can be
but like
whatever.
at least the last few times I've chosen like some kind of crime story, whether
Right.
it's like some kind of weird robbery or something, you know?
Yeah.
So I found myself on Reader's Digest Canada. That
Wait.
old website.
That's awesome because this case that we're covering today takes place in Canada.
What?
So maybe a little bit
You
of
guys,
teaser.
we didn't plan this, I swear.
Yeah, a small little teaser. And we've kind of discussed this before. Not this teaser before, but I think in the past we talked about how as like horrific and like disturbing the cases that take place here in the US are. There's something about like foreign cases that just add a little,
even if it's Canada, I guess.
Yeah, they add a little mystery to it. So today's case that I will be covering involves a British man, but it takes place in Canada.
Okay.
Which is where I'm like, hey,
Wow.
how about that?
Okay.
So,
Well, this is actually it's Reader's Digest Canada, but they're how do I say this? They're platforming stories that happen all across the world. So this one,
okay, kind of like
it's
a world news.
Yeah,
but
and
out
this
of-
one is based out of Germany. And I'm just going to read straight from it. It says, looking for a long-term relationship with someone single, lonely, and a little on the furry side? Your next date could be with an adorable dog or cat. All you have to do is swipe right. Faced with an influx of animals who had been adopted during lockdowns and then surrendered when owners returned to work, the Munich Animal Welfare Association teamed up with an advertising agency to create quote-unquote dating profiles for 15 adoptable pets on the popular app Tinder.
Wow.
Complete with professional photos and a bio that includes likes and dislikes. It says, Captain Kirk, for example, a 2-year-old black and white cat, enjoys cuddles but not small children. The pet profiles have received an overwhelming number of right swipes, says the shelter. After being screened, prospective adopters can arrange a meet and greet with their new match at the shelter.
Cool. Awesome.
I just thought that would be so funny to like be swiping through Tinder and then see a dog
But it's
or like
animals.
a cat. Yeah.
Wait. So these are animals on Tinder?
Yeah.
Then? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
yeah.
you can like match with a dog or a cat on Tinder
I remember.
in Munich, Germany. I hope it comes here. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not on any dating
Right. Yeah.
profiles,
And
but-
only 15 animals, I guess, isn't
Yeah.
a ton. But hey,
Yeah.
whatever you can get done. I remember when the whole like lockdowns and everything started, and people were working from home a bunch.
Yeah.
That a lot of people were
I
getting
know.
animals.
It's so sad too.
And I think we discussed at one point back when we lived like in the apartment.
Yeah.
That it was like, what are these people gonna do though when they have to go
Right.
back to work?
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, which
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom.
There's still
being
quite
like,
a few people that, and a lot of companies that I know have stayed with the whole at-home working thing because it seems people really like it.
Yeah,
so.
and it's cost effective
Yeah.
if you don't have to rent a property
so
space.
I guess
but
hopefully it worked out for their animals.
Yeah,
I mean, but
no, for sure. And
know.
it's cool to see, though, that they're finding a way to,
Yeah.
even not just animals that, got brought back during the whole lockdown stuff, but just in general. Like, if you want to adopt a cat, now you can just do it on Tinder.
I know.
Awesome.
I feel like if it gets popular enough, they'll just create their own app.
That's what I thought you were going to say at
I'm surprised
first.
it's not already a thing.
Yeah. I'm sure there is, though. There's got to be,
adopter,
right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a great excuse for anybody that's just like, whose girlfriend's saying, hey, honey, why are you on Tinder? Just look for a dog, honey. I'm a dog, honey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my
Little
super
bit of
cool
banter.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to stop talking as much.
Okay. Yeah. Save that
you.
voice of yours.
Yeah.
We do not have shout-outs today because a lot of the shout-outs that you had planned, you're still waiting on responses from people to get approval. Anything that you guys message us, mostly her, in the message comments of Instagram and things like that. If we want to bring it up, we try to get your guys' approval. So, yeah, if you're wondering, hey, why aren't you guys have like banter, or not banter, but shout-outs, you just check your messages. Maybe you messaged them and they haven't seen it yet.
Or re-message me if I'm sloughing on it,
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess that'll do it for the bit of banter for today, and I will go ahead
Okay.
and get this party started here.
All right, here we go.
All right. So this is a story of when one absolute idiot decides to team up with two complete morons, which leads to the gravesite of not one, but two bodies. Now, I do want to warn people that this case does involve the harming of a minor. So if you guys are sensitive to that or don't want to, listen to that, you feel free to check out a previous episode, but this one does involve that. So the origins of this story begins in 2013. 29-year-old Robert Leeming packed up and left his life in the UK after falling in love with a Canadian gal named Sarah via the internet. Now, I don't know what everyone else thinks, but when I hear falling in love via the internet, my mind immediately goes to catfish. So I'm thinking call up Neve and Max, because Robert Leeming is in some trouble. Sadly to say, though, catfish would have been much happier, with a happier ending, that is, than what we'll be getting today. Robert and Sarah had a true romance, a real relationship that had developed via the means of phone calls, texting, and Skype sessions. Pretty much how any relationship that spans across the Atlantic Ocean would be. When Robert and Sarah finally got together in person, it took no time for them to get busy. They immediately got married, bought a townhouse, got pregnant, and also adopted a dog. So within a very short period after Robert arrived at Canada, the relationship went from thousands of miles apart to a family of 4. And I put in parentheses, dog included.
Wow. Yeah.
Very similar to us.
Maybe not as
quite
fast,
though.
but yeah.
So the marriage, it was short-lived though, with the couple divorcing just 4 years later. And as for the reasons for the divorce, well, get your gas cans and matches ready because the gaslighting is about to begin. I knew you would like that one.
Okay, go ahead.
So in the divorce papers, it stated that Robert would blame Sarah for him having to live a life that he didn't want. He blamed Sarah for forcing him to buy a townhome that he didn't want to live in, have a baby he never wanted, and to adopt a dog he never desired to own.
Aww.
But the worst part, or I guess the worst note on this divorce, though, involves what was found not only in Robert's search history, but a crime that he was convicted for not longer after this divorce was finalized.
Oh, God.
So in his search history, Sarah explains that there were 2 items that still disturb her to this day. The first was an article that Robert was looking at about a mother and a child that was found dead in a house fire. And then second was a separate article that Robert was looking at regarding a dog left for dead after being chained to a tree.
Oh my god.
Now, at first, this might not sound very worrisome. I mean, I think I actually put in the notes here that articles like that could be considered lighter news here in the U.S. because there's so many just crazy things happening all the time. Mm-hmm. But what was most concerning to Sarah is that not long after the divorce was finalized, Robert explains to her that he took their dog to a family that was more fit to take care of it. Which, again, not too disturbing. I mean, he took the dog.
Hopefully that's what he actually did.
Right. Now, you got to remember, Robert, he blamed Sarah for having the dog in the first place. Mm-hmm. So him wanting to pass it off to some other family to take care of it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if the dog was, I don't want to say a focal point for arguments, but definitely a point of contention, I think, between the two. But just a couple of days after this conversation happens, a police officer finds their dog chained to a tree left on the side of the road.
Oh my god.
Luckily, the dog was still alive.
Fuck, dude.
Luckily. But shortly after the finding, Robert was charged and pleaded guilty to 3 counts of animal cruelty.
Why wouldn't you just
give it to the mom?
Yeah.
Or
it's just like
actually
you're going out of
family.
your way to be a bad person.
Right. Whatever. So I put here those counts of animal cruelty were causing the dog to be in distress, failing to provide it adequate food and water, and also failing to provide it with adequate shelter.
An idiot.
So it's pretty clear that Robert intended, I guess, for their dog to either be found and adopted by some
that's what I'm going to tell myself
person.
So I can sleep tonight, yeah.
Yep. Or end up, sadly, just, whichever it wasn't going to be his issue anymore.
Yeah.
So this is where the relationship and really the story between Robert and Sarah ends. The divorce, it goes through. Robert is only allowed to see his son through sanctioned supervised visits, and for the most part, the two are able to go their separate ways. And go their separate ways, or his separate way, I should say, he did. As less than a year after the divorce was finalized, and less than a month into knowing her, Robert was moving in his new girlfriend, Jasmine Levitt? Actually, I think is actually how you pronounce it.
Okay.
And her 2-year-old daughter, Aaliyah. Over a span of 6 months, Robert explains that the relationship between Jasmine and himself was off and on. At some points, they were a couple. At other points, she was a tenant and he was the landlord. So a very, like I said, off and on.
Yeah.
The interesting part of this, I guess, arrangement, though, is that throughout this entire time of being, together, not together, maybe back on, back off, whatever, Robert was actually incredibly welcoming and kind to her daughter, Aaliyah. So Jasmine's sister says that Robert would always make her food, babysit her while Jasmine was out at work, whatever she's doing, and even put her down to bed at night. And I put here, I wonder if it has to do with his inability to see his own son. Granted, not that he wanted the son in the first place, but maybe he's realizing, what he's missing out due to his own mistakes of being just like a piece of shit in the past. So I put here, it's always nice to hear that the new stepdad, quote unquote, is stepping up and I guess being a good father figure.
I also wonder if it has to do with it's not his, so there's not a big responsibility kind of thing.
Right, almost like a practice.
Yeah, kind of there's not as much pressure to take care of it because it's not really mine.
Not really, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess almost like babysitting. Or,
if you don't feel like you don't have to, maybe it takes or it adds
the stress of, oh my gosh, if I got to take care of this thing forever.
Yeah.
Pretty much is probably how it feels.
Yeah.
So I put here, I just want to do a quick recap. After a 4-year marriage to Sarah that ended in divorce in 2017, Robert's no longer able to see his son except for under supervised visits. And then in October of 2018, less than a month after meeting her, he welcomes Jasmine and Aaliyah, which involves this on-again, off-again relationship between the two. Now, fast forward to April 16th of 2019, so just 6 months later, when Jasmine and Aaliyah visit a couple family members. And this is the last time that the two of them are going to be seen before they go missing.
Oh my god.
It was a full week later, after the two of them failed to show up to a family Easter dinner, when the concern for Jasmine and Aaliyah grows. Initially, Jasmine's sister thought maybe she got the dates mixed up, or the days that the dinner was. And you know, that was the initial, I guess, thought.
Yeah.
But after a couple more days trying to get a hold of Jasmine with no luck, she went straight to the police and reported a missing person. That's when officers pay a visit to Robert Leeming's residence to see exactly what's going on. And so I do have a video clip for our YouTube watchers, or I guess the audio of this for our people listening elsewhere. This is the body cam footage from this visit on April 24th, 2019. Now, I do want to say that this is like a 4-minute clip, so buckle up, get ready. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to not see some weird things, but it's just nice to actually be able to see it, you know, right in front of you.
How's it going?
Says she's with her sister.
Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Alright. Well, we're just gonna take a quick look around. We need to have a look.
So, sorry, you're Robert? Okay. So,
Answer the door.
I was sleeping. I sleep with plugs in and...
hey, we've been here for hours and hours and hours now, hey? Banging on your door and...
ring on the doorbell.
Calling your phone.
I've been drinking and smoking a lot, so
Okay.
I'm pumped up.
Okay, so she's not with her sister.
What do you mean?
Well, that's the reason that we're here,
Why do you think we're here?
is that the family's calling us, saying we haven't heard from our daughter and our sister.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense?
Yeah,
Okay, why does that make sense?
because I haven't heard from her either.
Okay. So, do you guys get in some sort of argument?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Well, not that you're aware of. Like, you're not making a whole lot of sense to
No,
me,
like,
here, guy.
like, I don't know what, sorry, I'm still getting my bearings here. So she's not with her family, but she did threaten to move out. I don't know, like 3 weeks ago, we got into a tizzy. She threw a bunch of my stuff out, food, stuff like that, and I had a discipline talked about that. But nothing like that would concern me.
Nothing that would concern you. Okay.
Like, I mean, I've had people living with me before, and they move out. You don't hear from
Right, but this isn't just like a roommate. This is your girlfriend.
No, it's more roommate than girlfriend.
Okay.
She's more of a roommate than a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay, so the last time that you saw Jasmine was when?
Thursday.
Okay. And at that time, you guys were A-okay or fighting, or what was the status?
I would say in the air, judging by what obviously has gone down. With hers, and she's not here, and we're looking for her, so.
So what makes you believe that she's with her sister?
She told me that she was going to go and spend Easter with them on Tuesday. He was talking about it because I don't have my son, so, you know, it's kind of depressed about that. And just, a lot of drinking a lot over the weekend because I've pretty much been on my own, right?
Okay.
Does she have a car?
I don't know.
No, she doesn't have a license as
Or
far as
eight?
I'm aware.
That's from mom. We got a phone number for the sister.
No, I'll have to phone Mom and start digging, but that doesn't jive.
What's the saran wrap for?
No.
Just privacy.
Huh? Privacy.
Did you see the note on the door?
I do now.
Okay. I'm gonna go make a call to Mom and try and get some more info.
So, thoughts?
Right out the gate reminds me a lot of the Chris Watts footage.
Interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
there is a,
They
not
kinda,
a,
They kind of look alike too.
yeah,
It's weird.
it's not a theory, I guess, but
Oh,
a lot of people, when you look this case up, they say the Canadian Chris Watts.
oh, okay.
Because it's really
Nailed
interesting.
it.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up at all, but
Yeah.
that is I thought I'm not going to bring it up because that is like a talking point, I guess, that, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's more of a like clickbaity type title, and that's
Yeah.
not what we're really about here.
Right.
So it's interesting that you thought that because
Yeah.
a lot of
I
people
mean,
do
he
refer
looks
to it.
a lot like him, and I mean, I don't know if he was drunk in the clip or if he was
Right.
kind of playing it up. I don't really know what he was doing,
The-
but
The
I don't-
calmness of it, right?
yeah, I was gonna say I don't believe Chris Watts was drinking in his video, but it's that very like there's no emotion,
Yeah.
and you just like are like, yeah, I don't know,
There's
yeah,
no
I don't know.
concern, nothing.
yeah, I don't know,
You're like,
you know,
that's just
yeah.
what it is, I guess. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, so obviously, he's kind of explaining, we weren't really dating at the time, It was up in the air, and based on what's happened, it's clear that we're not dating at the moment, So after this initial visit, the very next day, things start to heat up, and authorities are able to obtain a warrant for the arrest of Robert Leeming and the search of his household. I put an asterisk here because I'm not sure if it is for sure a warrant for his arrest.
yeah,
And I'll kind of bring this back up here shortly because there's certain things that kind of occur that I'm like, maybe it's just a Canadian thing, So shortly after Robert arrived home from work the next day, a SWAT team is used to conduct the arrest. Yeah, I saw your weird.
escalated.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you might think that this is a bit overboard.
yeah,
But my guess is that based on Robert's inability to answer the door for hours the day before. So you heard in the clip, I didn't really preface it with this, but the cops were there for hours trying to. They knew he
Right.
was home, but they were trying to get
Yeah.
him to answer the door. Finally, he
Yeah.
did. He says, he was sleeping, he's
Yeah.
high and drunk, and
Yeah.
sorry.
Plus, I don't know if he has any weapons.
Right. So he does have weapons. He's got guns. A talking point that a lot of people brought up, or I guess bring up in this case, is that Robert, as a child, at 7 years old, started collecting knives,
Okay.
which to me wasn't a big deal.
No.
I'm like,
It
it's
seems a
it's
little
collecting.
young, but whatever. I mean, if you're
Right.
teaching them safety, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he had like 50 or 60 knives
Okay.
that he also had, a collection, but obviously still dangerous if they need to be,
Yeah.
I suppose. But yeah, so I'm thinking that because he didn't answer the first time and it took hours for them
Yeah.
to get in, they're thinking, you know what, let's make sure we can get in there when we need to make the arrest before he can get rid of any evidence or anything that might
Yeah.
be
I
used
don't know
against him.
how the Canadian law works, but I wonder like what their not probable
Cause.
cause, but like how they were able to arrest him based off what?
Right. No, I know.
Yeah.
And that's where, moving forward, I'm just going to,
Oh, yeah, sorry, go
we'll
ahead.
move forward and then very soon here, we'll kind
Okay.
of bring it back up.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I should say that the SWAT team or it's a good thing that they used the SWAT team or brought
Oh.
them in, because here's how the arrest went. After arriving at Robert's house, they attempt to let him answer the door first. Again, he didn't answer this time. No surprise. So, after that similar instance from the day before, the SWAT team then proceeds to use forced entry tactics. The thing is, though, even with the use of SWAT team tactics, they were still unable to get the front door to even budge. Yeah. So eventually they end up using the same tactics on the back door, in which they do successfully gain entry into the household, where they then arrest Robert and begin conducting their forensic search. So during this search of Robert's house, they found that he had barricaded the door using 2 telescopic poles that he jammed between the door and the stairway, preventing it from being opened. So very similar to what we use here. Just as, like,
okay. No,
a
I feel
pole
like I
like
can
that.
imagine it because I saw where the stairs were and they were level with the
Like,
door.
right
if
in
they
front of
had
the door.
Yeah.
So he had these 2 poles just posted up against the door all the way.
Did he not think they would try another entry?
You know what? So here's the thing, though. Even weirder. Where's my note here? Where am I at here? Okay.
Guess it's Canada.
So
Who
yeah.
knows?
There was raw bacon seemingly randomly placed throughout the entirety of the house as well.
What?
So
Canadian bacon?
no matter which bacon it is,
This is
it's
so
Canadian,
weird.
right? And I'm thinking
What?
they never really dive into detail as to what the bacon's meant to be
Oh
used
my
for.
god, that's all I'd be focused on.
Yeah, my guess though is that he's trying to throw off the scent of any search dogs or cadaver dogs.
I would send out a separate detective just for that.
Be like,
I need to know.
It's like that episode of How I Met Your Mother where it's the pineapple
no.
incident. Where Marshall's so obsessed with, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
We'll come back
we
to
digress. I love that show, by the way, everybody. Welcome to True Crime Banter.
Yeah.
So Robert, he's got this bacon just hanging all over the place. Like he put it in like they
is
describe it as like a sump pump, like an area that there's no reason to put a piece of raw bacon, and they open it up and there's a piece of raw bacon in there.
So weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I said, probably trying to throw off the scent. It's got to
Okay.
be, right? I
Okay.
can't think of any other reason why.
Okay.
So he's arrested. He's taken in for questioning while his house is being searched by the forensics team. And this is where I said we would bring it back up because interestingly though, Robert is only held for 24 hours. And I don't know. I know when you're being held here in the U.S., they can only hold you for 24 hours, and then they got to let you go.
Yeah.
So
Unless,
if they don't find evidence
yeah, I
or
was gonna
something,
say they use that 24 hours to find something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I think, again, I don't know how they got the warrant to search the household
Yeah.
or what kind of grounds they used to do this,
Mm.
but they didn't find anything within 24 hours, and so he was free to go. So after 24 hours, he's released, and Robert heads to a pub while the forensics team finishes up their first initial search of his household. Upon leaving the pub, he happens upon what?
More bacon.
No.
What?
Our favorite thing. Another callback to Chris Watts, news crews.
Oh, fantastic. Is this where he makes his debut?
Yep, and
Oh,
here's good old
okay.
Robert Leeming
Oh, heck yeah.
taking in the attention of being a suspect in the disappearance of Jasmine.
After drinking, too.
and
This should be
Aaliyah.
good.
Yes, and so I've got video of this for the people, again, watching on YouTube, and the listeners. Hope you enjoy it. You can tell, I mean, he's British, so he likes to drink, but he also kind of, he holds himself together, but you can tell he's a little,
Does that make me British? Go ahead.
Wait a
Am I
minute.
British?
Isn't
Wait a
it?
second. Go ahead.
So, how long were you in police custody?
24 hours, I think.
And then they released you, and you can't go home. So, what have you been doing in the meantime?
Just been here. Literally. They dropped me off here around about midday, and just waiting for the forensics to finish at my property, and I can go back home.
Were you not sort of perplexed as to where they'd gone or why they were gone for 5 days?
No, because they said that they were going to be having Easter with her sister, so of course nothing alarmed me. Until, of course, I got arrested. So
when you got arrested at that point, did you even know that they were considered missing persons?
No.
Are you able to speak about anything in terms of your interactions with police?
It's probably not appropriate this time.
He's a weird looking dude.
Yeah, I feel like he can look so normal, and then he has certain looks with his eyes, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You
And that's where you
stab
kind of
someone.
Yeah, you kind of take into account that he is probably a little drunk.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, maybe he can't, like, you know how people look dead in their eyes sometimes when they're a little faded. And you're just like, you're in a different place right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, very interesting. And so there's actually a much longer version of those news crews all interviewing him. That was just to kind of get you an idea of, like, he didn't shy away from them.
Yeah.
He wasn't like it's still under investigation. I don't want to talk about it. He was obviously enjoying himself, having a laugh here and there. Obviously a little buzzed, but not someone who I think even if it's just your tenant, even if, someone you live with, your roommate, and they're just gone, and you're just and you're the prime suspect at the moment, and you're just going to be like...
I think it's more alarming, too, because she's a child, If it was just her,
you would
I
think
don't
that,
know.
like, it'd be... even for him, for someone who cared for Aaliyah, the daughter, where is the any level of concern at all? Being like, I've been trying to call them for days, every day, every on the hour, whatever.
Yeah.
Just seems like there's nothing. So nearly 2 weeks pass until seemingly the most timely occurrence of two strangers happens. Robert is out and about when these two dunce idiots approach him. That's how I like to describe them. And they're telling him that they recognize him from the news. He's like, I like to picture, like, just two drunk bros, kind of, but they're not drunk. They're dumb. So one of these guys tells Robert that he's a fucking rock star in regards of how much publicity that he's been getting since all of this has begun. Robert, he kind of downplays the rock star comment, explaining how difficult it's been dealing with this entire situation. He says his life's been flipped upside down pretty much. That's when the other idiot says to Robert something along the lines of, listen, buddy, dude, my friend, we know who you are and we know what you've done. In fact, we've got a friend of ours who may or may not have all the evidence needed to incriminate you. So how about we go somewhere nice and private and talk about what you can do for us in exchange for us getting rid of this evidence for you. And I put here that's some good old-fashioned blackmail, if you ask me. Maybe not blackmail per se, more extortion. And so I feel like this isn't the first time we've heard something like this or heard of a situation like this where, whether it's real or not, people like to take advantage that somebody's in the public eye and they're thinking, wow, I might be able to extort him for money or whatever it is to, take advantage of this situation. He's already down on his luck. That's why I kind of put dunce idiots, kind of pieces of shit. Like, a guy's already, whether he's done something or not, you're trying to make him feel shittier, and take advantage of the situation. So Robert, he goes along with these two wackos. And now we've got a trio of idiots, two of whom are attempting to extort. They say they were trying to get Robert to do other criminal activity for them in exchange for them getting rid of this so-called evidence that they have against him. And really, he's, Robert's up to do whatever he needs to not be framed, pretty much. So the three go with Robert to his workplace, which apparently is the only place that Robert could think of that wasn't under any sort of surveillance or recordings or whatever, and they start talking. And after a few hours of back and forth between them all, and with the help of a little bit of alcohol, Robert begins to feel a little more comfortable with these fellas. Why, you might ask? Well, Robert, he knows that if these two were trying to frame him, or if they were to try and frame him, he'd have no problem killing them dead. After all, it wouldn't be his first murder. That's right. So during these conversations, Robert tells these guys something along the lines of, hey, listen, I did it, I killed them, and I buried them. And then these two dudes, being seemingly just as fucked up as Robert himself, want to know where he buried him. And Robert, having just made two best friends in a matter of hours, takes them to the shallow grave that he dug just a couple hours away from where they had all lived. Now, as I've said before, and I'll continue to say as we continue to do this show more and more, you've got a look on your face. You're not saying anything yet, though.
Should I? Should I not? Should I just wait
I
for
don't
you
know.
to finish?
Sure.
Okay, I'll wait for you.
Sure. All right. Again, like I just said, I've said this many a times before. I'll say it many a times in the future. We tend to give tips to criminals on the show, I guess, whatever you want to call this. And in this episode, I'm telling all criminals out there, let's not trust two weirdos that are attempting to commit extortion against you.
Okay.
One, because they're already randomly approaching you about this now murder case that you're involved in. So who's to say that they're not going to immediately go to the cops and be like, hey, fellas, like, this motherfucker over here did it. Or, as you're probably thinking in your head over there, in this case's situation, who's to say that they're not undercover policemen sent out to do exactly what they got you to do and admit to killing your girlfriend and her daughter and then lead them to the location of their bodies?
Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was
okay.
saying. Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
I figured.
This is
That's
not
what-
the first time that's been done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a timeline of the events of the night that Robert Leeming killed Jasmine. So Aaliyah, the daughter, I guess she took a hard fall down the stairs. And Robert, I don't want to say thinking nothing of the fall, but underestimating the damage that the fall did to Aaliyah, he just kind of said, throw some ice on it, and then eventually put her to bed. So Robert, he puts her to bed, and then Jasmine comes home, and Robert tells Jasmine about the fall. So Jasmine, being the mom, goes to check on Aaliyah, and she realizes that Aaliyah's not breathing. So this could be a situation, they always say, like, any head injuries or anything, if people are concussed or whatever, it's like, don't let them take a nap.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if they're going to wake
Happened
up
to me
again.
once.
You took a nap and you
Yeah,
never
the
woke
person
up
that was
again.
with me shouldn't have let me go to bed. But I
Well-
woke up, so we're good.
It wasn't Robert Leeming, was it?
Nope.
Oh,
No.
Thank goodness.
No.
So Robert, all right, not Robert, Jasmine, she clearly is freaking out on Robert,
Yeah.
saying, "What the fuck happened?"
Yeah.
Rightfully so, And Robert, he's admitted to this, in a fit of rage, grabs a hammer and starts beating Jasmine.
Oh my god.
So after Jasmine is, I put subdued, aka probably unconscious and on the verge of death, Robert decided to grab one of his guns and shoot her.
Oh my god.
So over the next few days, Robert cleans up the scene, disposes of Jasmine and, sadly, Aaliyah's body, and makes nothing of the situation until the police approach him on that initial visit.
Yeah, he was probably drinking when it happened and drinking before
I'm
they
sure,
came,
yeah.
and then they showed up, and then he was
Still
released and then went
drinking.
drinking, and oh my god. Dude.
So it wasn't until November of 2021 that Robert Leeming actually pleaded guilty for second-degree murder in the case of Jasmine Lovett. However, he pleaded not guilty to the death of Aaliyah because it was the fall off the stairs that he says caused her death. So in Canada, the charge of second-degree murder results in a life sentence without the possibility of parole, but without the possibility of parole for the first 10 to 25 years, whatever they, choose or deem necessary. But since then, since November of 21, his sentencing has doubled
Okay, good.
because back in February of 22, he was also convicted and ruled as guilty for second-degree murder of Aaliyah as
Okay.
well. So they deemed that based on the amount of trauma that Aaliyah faced during that fall down the stairs, coupled with the lies that Robert was telling to the public regarding Jasmine's death, it was beyond a reasonable doubt that Robert was also the cause for Aaliyah's death. So thank goodness, at least, 20 to 50 years, he won't be out on parole. Still a piece of shit no matter what.
Yeah, I just and I hate to take it there, but I hope they did a full, obviously, thing on the young girl. I just can't help but sometimes when kids are murdered and stuff like that, especially when it's an opposite sex thing,
Right.
I always think was he trying
autopsy,
to
you're
cover
saying?
up a sexual abuse thing? Did she say I'm going to tell
Yeah.
my mom, and he just flipped out and beat her, and he disguised it as she
Fell down the
that's how
stairs.
she died,
Yeah.
versus she was going to tell on me, or
Yeah.
he took an interest in this girl that's not his, and he had no problem taking care of her, and he was alone with her for how many hours a day? You just don't know.
Yeah, and this is kind of another situation where you and I, we've just a few cases ago, maybe it was the Henry McCabe one or whatever. We always wonder, are police agencies doing their due diligence to make sure cover all the bases?
Yeah.
And I like to think that in a situation of, granted, she was 2 years old, so it's not like she was sitting there arguing back with him
Right.
or really anything, but you would hope that with any young female, they
Yeah.
would always check for that, and then whether
Yeah.
they charge or even bring it out to public, who
Yeah.
knows? But you really do hope that they.
Because why out of nowhere would he just beat her up like that?
Right? Yeah,
know?
I don't know, and that's. When you admit that she, Jasmine's going off on you, so you decide I'm gonna kill you with the hammer.
Yeah,
It's
and if that's really what happened, right? He
Yeah.
could have killed her first and then had to dispose of the daughter.
Right. True. Yeah. Sadly, we only have his word to go off of, along with.
But then you would think he would just
forensic
shoot her.
evidence.
Why would he beat her up? It seems weird to
Right.
beat the crap out of a little kid
But
if that's how you're gonna
if
dispose.
there is some sort of, we always talk about when people are found overkilled or overbeaten and no one knows who the killer is, they always assume that it's somebody that was near and dear to them because there's some sort of rage or anger involved.
Yeah.
So maybe he just had something out for them.
It's
and
weird.
wanted to take it out on the daughter and then the
You
the
cared
mom.
for her for how long, and all of a sudden, just seems weird. But
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah, so
I actually have not heard of that one.
a little more recent. Obviously,
Yeah.
it took place in 2018 and then final ruling didn't
But that's kind of
occur
like
until-
a little COVID case you brought to us, which
Yeah, which is interesting. You start to think that this actually took place, I guess, before COVID, and this is probably, now
Technically.
that we think about it, now that you might bring that up, it is probably one of those cases that kept getting pushed back for the verdict because of COVID,
Right.
where people were just like, we're not going to do any.
just like the Lisa guy and what is it, Tony or Lisa guy? The guy case. Remember where his son? We did that
Yeah,
one?
Joel.
Yeah,
Joel Guy Jr..
Yeah, Joel Guy Jr.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one got pushed back because COVID.
Yeah,
remember?
yeah,
Mhm.
and then we were looking at the trial photos, and
Yeah, and they're all wearing masks and stuff.
yep,
Wow.
yeah. So
Well, I always feel weird saying
unfortunate.
thank you, but thanks for telling the story.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime we can bring any cases to light, especially ones, I don't want to say especially ones against
Yeah.
children, but it's just like,
Well, yeah. A kid was involved. Yeah.
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 yeah, I think they all deserve, all idiots, killers deserve to be made the pieces of shit that they
Yeah,
actually
this
are.
is one of those ones where this guy is just clearly not insane's not the right word. He's not insane. He's one of those ones that ego and like, you know,
It's
like he
gotta be,
clearly
right?
thought he was gonna get away with this. He's some weird, like, he thinks he's fucking
Yeah.
whatever. I'm just gonna drink and it'll all go away. Like, it'll be fine. Like, who cares about these people?
And who knows? I mean, maybe you know,
Well, I just don't
moving
think
from the
we're-
UK to Canada plays a part into it. Feeling like he wasted his time with the first marriage. I don't know. It seems like he probably made a lot of bad decisions in his
Yeah.
life that ended up leading to
And I
worst
mean, he
decision of
obviously
all.
just snapped. I mean, it was probably a long time coming.
Yeah.
You know,
Still no
wa-
excuse though, because
No.
there's
If it
you go
wasn't
back
them-
to Europe. Like, get the fuck out of Canada if that's the case, you know.
if it wasn't them, it probably would be the next couple or
Sadly.
next wife or girlfriend,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you for listening. I know your voice is not doing too hot,
Yeah.
and I'm sure your head's not feeling too
Not
great.
so great, but it's all right.
So everybody in the comment section below or on the post of this Instagram, say, feel better, Christian, or something like
Hopefully
that.
by then I will be by the time
Yes.
this gets up. I'm almost better. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, y'all. Okay, well, this
Yeah.
has been another episode of the True Crime Banter podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If there is anything you want to hear us talk about or banter about or shout out about, feel free to leave it in the comments or I guess message us as well.
Yeah.
Again, if you message us, we're going to ask you if it's okay to bring it up on the
Yeah.
podcast. So make sure you're looking for a follow-up answer to
Mhm.
provide. And yeah, I guess that's it for today's episode. Thank you all for joining us,
Yeah,
and
thanks,
we will
guys.
talk to you in the next one.
Bye.
Adios.